Hello, welcome back to my channel. We are going to spend some time in the kitchen today, so come with me and let's get started. It's an early Sunday morning and we are getting upstairs and prepping all of the things that I have to prep every morning before I start my day. Before we get too far in the day, I need my cup of coffee. I actually buy whole beans, 2 different varieties, and mix them together in my Vitamix and ground them up and put them in my wonderful coffee container. You have to have coffee. Well, I have to have coffee to start my day. Let's get the windows open. Another cloudy day, Southwest Ohio. And our plan for today, I think I need to start with making yogurt. First thing I'm gonna do this morning is make homemade yogurt. If you've never made homemade yogurt and you see how simple it is, you'll just do like this. So let me go grab the milk for my homemade yogurt. I'll be right back. I like to use this type of milk when I'm making my homemade yogurt. To make yogurt, I use my Instapot Max. Super easy. I get it plugged up. I turn my Instant Pot Max to the yogurt setting, so I press yogurt. And for yogurt, there's custard, there's yogurt, and then there's something called boil. So the first thing I do is I put it on boil and I hit start. And it will get the milk up to the temperature of the boiling point where it will start breaking the milk down into other chemical characteristics. But I don't have to figure it out. The Instant Pot does it for me. If you want plain yogurt, that's fine. You can do that. I like my yogurt a little sweet. So I make a very plain sweet yogurt, and then I add strawberry jam or preserves or granola or homemade vanilla to it to change the taste of my yogurt. But I like it to start just being a basic sweet yogurt. So I like to add, since I have 2 containers of milk, I'm gonna add 2 containers of sweetened condensed milk. And so for every half gallon or just under a half gallon of milk, I use 1 container of condensed milk. And it adds that sweetness. So I poured in 1/2 of container of the milk for now because I want to mix in this condensed milk. So you want to make sure it's mixed up really well. In order to do that, I just add a little bit of milk and then the condensed milk, get my whisk it all up really, really well. And then I pour the rest of the milk in on it. Once I realized how to make yogurt, and I realized how much money I was paying for yogurt in a store, it blew my mind. And my yogurt tastes much better. All right, so I have the condensed milk in there. I'm just gonna whisk it up, make sure I stir it in really good because the condensed milk is super, super thick. And then I just pour in the rest of the milk. And once you make yogurt one time, unless you do like I do and you eat it all up and you forget, you can take a little bit of that yogurt to start your next batch of yogurt. But that means you have to save some behind versus eating it all. And that's always my problem. Now you can use your Instant Pot lid and cover this, and it'll let you know when it's finished boiling and it's boiled for the amount of time that it's supposed to. I personally like to stir throughout the process just to make sure that there's no sticking, that there's no skim, those type things. So I just use regular, I think this is one of my stock pots, and I just put the lid on it like that. I can see what's going on, and I'm going to actually use this lid while I'm actually cooking the yogurt here shortly. So I just put that lid on, and every 5 to 10 minutes or so, I'm going to come and give it a light stir around the bottoms and the edges just to make sure there's no skimming going on. While my yogurt is getting up and running, I am going to also make some more brown sugar. So if you can see in my container here, my brown sugar has gotten very, very low. Very low. So it's time to make some brown sugar, and it's super easy. To make brown sugar, you only need 2 ingredients. That's it. Regular sugar, and you're going to need molasses. I buy my molasses from Azure Standard, and this is a 32-ounce bottle, and I believe it's somewhere between $7 and $9, but I'll put the price up here for you. And then whatever sugar you typically use, just use that sugar. The equipment that you'll need outside of those 2 ingredients, the equipment you need is your KitchenAid or whatever type mix stand you use, and your whisk attachment. So the first step is to just add how much of a sugar you want to make. So if you ever read the packaging of your brown sugar, on the back, it typically says sugar and cane molasses or something similar to that. So brown sugar is only sugar cane that still has the molasses in it. White sugar, they've removed this from it so that it's no longer in it. So why pay extra money for brown sugar? I just checked for it was a 4-pound bag of brown sugar was like $4 in my local grocery store. Now, I haven't bought brown sugar well over 2 years now since I realized I could just make it myself. And so a 4-pound bag of brown sugar off brand, or store brand, I should say, the store brand was $4. And you buy it, you put it up in your cabinet or your pantry, and you use the amount you need at that point in time, and then it sits there. And unless you have something to keep the moisture in it, it will eventually dry out into a hard rock. So then you end up tossing it and going get another bag. Doing it this way, I can make what I need and keep it in stock, and I don't have to buy it. I don't have to throw it away, because I'll just make small amounts to make sure I have just the amount I need. So super simple. Our convenience foods have gotten so convenient, we've lost the craft of making these things on our own. So I think I put 3 or 4 cups of sugar in there. The amount of sugar doesn't matter, because you're going to add the molasses until you get the color of brown sugar that you're looking for, whether you want light brown, dark brown. So I think I put in 3 or 4 cups. I think it's 4. So you want to add the molasses a small amount at a time. So this is a 1/2 cup. I'm not gonna actually put it in this cup because I don't want to wash this measuring cup, but about a 1/2 cup for my 4 cups of sugar is a good starting point. Don't put any more than that, because as it mixes up, you'll start seeing the color change. You'll see it getting blended up very well, and then you can decide to add more or less. But I have 4 cups of sugar, and I'm going to put about a 1/2 cup of molasses. And my molasses, by the way, there is organic and it's from Azure Standard. I love Azure Standard because of their organic products. So now we're gonna just put this in here and we're gonna mix it up on a very low speed for several minutes, and we're gonna let it just do its thing. If when you're making your brown sugar and let's say you added too much molasses and it's too dark and you're like, oh, I didn't really want a dark brown sugar, add more sugar. It'll become light brown sugar. While this is mixing, I'm gonna step over and stir my yogurt. Had to make my cup of coffee while we're waiting here. I realized I needed that daily cup of coffee until I went about 3 days with not having it. Don't drink a lot of coffee, I just need that 1 cup a day. All right, so let me let you see what we're looking like. Hopefully the color is good on that. So we are at a very light brown color right now. I am going to take my spatula and stir the outside walls of my bowl here. Just make sure that we got all that molasses down in there. Now, I like my brown sugar a little darker than this though. So I am gonna add maybe another half cup or so. Yeah, maybe a 1/4 cup. I'm gonna go ahead and stop it because I see some of my molasses building on the side. So I don't want that to build up. I want that to incorporate. So since I'm over here and not doing other things, let me go ahead and take care of that now. So basically it's just scraping the walls down of your mixing bowl and making sure all that good molasses is in the center and being picked up by your whisk. This will be the last stir. We may be done. Oh, yeah, we're done. You're in kind of close there, but I am in between a light brown and a dark brown shade. So if you can see that there, if it'll focus on it. So we are finished making our brown sugar. I'm gonna move it over into the container. How long did that take me? 5 minutes? If that. I was doing other stuff like making coffee, so I would say that was 5 minutes worth of work. If you've never seen these little bears, they are amazing. You soak these little bears in water. I don't know, I think I soaked mine for, 5 or 10 minutes or something like that. And you put it in the top of your brown sugar and it keeps everything inside your container moist. I mean, it's pretty cool. And I keep measuring utensils inside each one of my containers, so I'm not looking for something to measure. And there is, so I had dark brown sugar in the very bottom, that's why it's dark like that. But I have now the light brown sugar or medium brown sugar on top. And so now I have a good 4 cups of brown sugar when I need it for my oatmeals, cakes, pies, whatever I'm cooking. So there are other methods to cook yogurt besides this. I can actually cook yogurt in my Excalibur dehydrator. It has a setting for yogurt. You can actually cook yogurt in your oven. Sometimes ovens have a setting that's low enough to cook yogurt. But I've been doing it in the Instant Pot now for a couple of years, and I just set it on broil. There's the settings there is on broil, and it tells me that it's preheating. And when it's done, because it's preheating, When it's done preheating, it'll boil and cook for an amount of time, and then it'll beep and let me know that it's finished with that step. This Instapot Max can do a lot of different things. You can pressure cook, saute rice. It even has a canning button on here. So if you're at a pint size or smaller, you can can in the Instapot as well. So this is one of my electric pressure canners. Of course, I can't use this lid. I have to use the actual Instapot lid for that. So I have 2 electric pressure canner pots, and this is one of the 2. And a lot of work, a lot of testing has gone into pressure canning and the electric pressure canners. Some people believe in it and others don't. It's completely up to you, but I love my Instapot Max. So my Instapot just told me that it's done boiling the milk. So now we're gonna move to the next step, which is gonna require me to pick up the inside liner here and move it over into its cooling station. Now you can let this naturally cool sitting inside the Instapot, but it's gonna take a lot longer. I like to sit the inner liner in a cool sink of water to bring the temperature down faster so I can move on to the next step. So we'll do that next. So I just sit my milk inside the sink of cool water, and I have a lid on it. I don't take the lid completely off. I just kind of cock it to the side just a little bit to let it have some room to vent. And this is where it will sit until it comes to temperature. To measure for temperature, I just have this little cheap thermometer. I got it from the grocery store, you know, like a Walmart, a Myers. It's just a digital thermometer that I will be using to check the temperature of the milk. And I want the temperature of the milk to get somewhere between 100 and 110 degrees. I don't want it to be any more than 110 degrees when I add in my yogurt mixture. Since we didn't have the willpower to save a small container of the last batch that I made, I had to go out and purchase some active yogurt. So this is the brand that I purchased. There are other brands out there. You just want it to be a yogurt that has active, let's see what they call it. Active yogurt, live active yogurt cultures. So whatever yogurt you use, your starter has to have live active yogurt cultures in it. It's just plain yogurt. There's no flavors in this. In a pinch, I have used yogurt with flavor. I mean, it was okay, but it was not what I call a gold standard. Before I put this into my milk, I need to bring that temperature down, because if the temperature is over, I think 110 degrees, then it'll kill your active live cultures, right? And we don't want to kill them, we want them to multiply. And so now that the milk compounds have been broken down, and when it's time to actually make the yogurt, you're going to be cooking it at a very, very low temperature, which will make these cultures multiply. And that's how you get yogurt. It's super simple. We will keep our eye on this and let it continue to cool down. And we will just keep waiting for that temperature to drop below 110 degrees. Let's see what temperature we're starting at. So we're still at 150 degrees. So we have a ways to go to cool this down. One of the things that I don't like is a skim over my milk. So I give it just a light stir as I'm getting the temperature, just so that we don't build up that skim. Because if you stir that skim in, it puts this grittiness in your yogurt, and we do not want that. And we will keep bringing that temperature down. All right, let's see how our temperature is doing. I have been checking along the way, just so you know. In some places, I'm seeing 104. In some, I'm seeing 107. I don't see any hot spots above 110, or we're close enough. So I'm going to start preparing our next step. So to add the yogurt to the milk mixture, if I just plop this yogurt in there and try to mix it up, I would have clumping in it. So I like to put my yogurt, and this, by the way, is well more yogurt than I need. I only need like a 1/4 cup, and if I'm not mistaken, this is a little over a 1/2 cup of yogurt. You only need a little bit because those live cultures will start multiplying. But I'm going to use the whole cup. So I have my yogurt in this container here, and I'm going to spoon in a little bit of milk and slowly start mixing that in with the yogurt until I get a smooth consistency. Lay it in I wish I had a bigger spoon, but this is what I have. Just a little bit of milk. Eventually I'm going to whisk it in, but for now I just want to kind of get it in there, mix it up just a little bit. Nice and smooth, get all the clumps out so that our yogurt's nice and creamy when it's finished. Okay, so I've got a nice, smooth, very liquidy consistency here. It's not thick anymore. Get our yogurt out the sink. Just draw the pot off a little bit so I'm not having to clean up the countertop. And we're going to take this mixture and pour it right in. And I'm just stirring it as I'm pouring it in. Try to avoid any clumping. Stir it in real good so it's nice and smooth. That's enough playing with my food. So we're going to put the top back on. And we're going to carry this back over to the Instapot. So we're going to pick this up, get it into the Instapot, and on the Instapot there's an actual setting. So let me just turn it all the way off and turn it back on. We are going to cook some more yogurt. So I hit the yogurt button and the temperature says boil. I don't want boil anymore. I want yogurt. So YOG stands for yogurt. You can also make custard. So there's a custard setting on here, but we want yogurt. I have it set to 11 hours and 30 minutes, and it's going to cook very slowly. I'm going to hit the start button. And for the next 11 hours and 30 minutes, this is going to cook. But I am going to start sampling it, checking it for texture, that kind of stuff around 8 hours. Prior to that, though, I will pick up the lid and remove all the condensation off the lid and replace the lid. And the reason why I do that is because I don't like a very liquidy yogurt. I like something in between that and Greek yogurt. So to get Greek yogurt, all you're doing is straining off the liquid from your mix. And so you can wait till it's done and you can strain it off. They have all these different yogurt strainers and Greek yogurt strainers. And some people use coffee filters and put it in a strainer to drain off that liquid. That liquid is called whey. I don't want to do that step. I don't like doing that step. So if all I'm doing is removing the liquid, what I've been doing is taking this glass top, so it's not sealed, and throughout the cooking process, I remove the lid and remove all of the condensation from the lid, and I put the lid back on. And when the yogurt's finished, I'm already at the perfect consistency, somewhere in between traditional yogurt and Greek yogurt. And that's the process I use, and that can eliminate that step of removing the whey, removing the liquid. We will come back here when the yogurt's finished, and I will show you that final product. But for now, it's kind of set it and forget it. We'll be back. All right, it's the next morning, and I forgot to record the final video for the yogurt. So The yogurt cooked for 11 hours. As I mentioned, I kept removing the lid and wiping the condensation off of the top of the lid. And doing that gives me the consistency that I want for my yogurt. So I'm hoping you can see this, but it's thick. You see how thick that is? Let's turn it up. See that? Thick, very thick yogurt. And there's no need to do the straining of the whey if you do the step that I do. So see how thick that is? Delicious too. I tasted it. It has just enough sour or tartness to it, and it's smooth, it's rich, it's creamy, and it's delicious. And it's just the starter. So if you want strawberry yogurt, add strawberries to it. If you want pineapple yogurt, add pineapples to it. If you want vanilla, add vanilla. So this is the starter. And from here, we can turn it into whatever kind of yogurt we want. This yogurt will last in the refrigerator up to about 2 weeks. Now, I take it out of the Instant Pot container and put it into airtight containers. And the most important thing about homemade yogurt, this is the absolute most important thing. You need to save about 1/4 cup so you can make the next batch. You don't want to eat it all. And that way you don't have to buy a starter. And then you can just keep this process going. And when you do that, the yogurt, I think, tastes better and better and better with each batch. I just don't have the willpower, and we always eat it all. So hopefully you can do better than me on that. Thank you for joining me in my kitchen this week. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. You'll have cooking videos, preserving videos, as well as garden videos. Until next time, thank you and have a blessed day. Bye-bye.